mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you? I'm...
Greetings and salutations to you, and welcome to And I Quote, the live weekly show. We bring in a special guest, we find out more about them, and we find out what projects they have coming down the line. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture. Thank you for joining us for this episode of And I Quote. And our guest this week is a veteran artist who treats every day as if it were Saturday, because I guess it always will be in his mind, in his heart, and in his soul. Please welcome the incredible Bill Sartain is here with us. Bill, how are you?
Hi, thanks a lot. I'm doing really good, Ryan, and thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. We are very happy to have you with us here, Bill. And the first thing we want to ask you right off the bat here is, how were you specifically introduced to the world of comics?
Like everybody else was as a kid, we just can't really explain it other than the ways. I was just always into superhero comics, and particularly Batman, because of the 1966 Batman TV series. So that kind of helped get me into that, or one helped me got into the other one, I'll say. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg.
No, it's okay. It's okay. That kind of segues into my next question. What would you say were some of your favorite comic book artists growing up?
Definitely for Superman, I was very much into Kurt Swan. Later on to get into John Byrne and some of the other ones. But I will say that with Batman, even though during the time of the TV series, the comic books reflected a lot of the campiness of it. And it would probably be when he got a little bit darker again in the early 70s. And people like Jim Aparo, Neil Adams, and them took over. I really dug that.
All right. Very good choices. Very good choices. Now, you mentioned the Batman TV series. Now, kind of a little bit leaning into that question a bit more. What would you say are some of your favorite comic book movies or TV series, past or present, aside from Batman?
Definitely the Batman 89 was always my favorite Batman movie, still is to this day. I just can't think of anything that topped it. And I hope someday somebody will, and maybe with this new one, who knows. But Superman 78, really a lot of the TV series, and that you got to remember, I was a child and a teen of the 70s, so I grew up with watching The Incredible Hulk and $6 Million Man and The Man from Atlantis and Lucan and Wonder Woman and all these wonderful 70s shows and that, and as a young child, of course, the Batman TV series, reruns of the George Reeves Superman, I really dug that. And obviously Star Trek and the Monkees and stuff like that, which were not superhero per se, but because they were all kind of mixed in, and one was doing takeoffs of it. The Monkees was always doing parodies of Batman 66 with Monkey Men and all that. So when you're a little kid, you really dig that stuff for that. But then when you get older and your taste matures, then you're really getting into, the other ones that I just mentioned previously in the 70s, and then getting into the movies and such.
Definitely excellent choice with Batman 89. Grew up watching that film as a kid, watched it so much, wore out the VHS tape. Then I bought it on DVD, and then they came up with the 25th anniversary Blu-ray. and I ended up buying that. And I can rewatch that film anytime, day or night, anytime during the year. It doesn't matter to me. I love that film. The Batmobile alone is awesome. So no qualms about it. No problems here with that film, especially. And you know, you mentioned all the great artistry and the great characters and all that stuff. Kind of reminds me, where does he get those wonderful toys? It's a really good question. I've always been fascinated by it. But anyhow, when did you specifically decide to become an artist yourself?
Well, I always loved to draw. As early as I could put a pencil in my hand or my foot or whatever. And the person responsible really for first saying, "Hey, Billy, I think you could do this. Let me show you how," was my grandmother. She was very instrumental in it, very supportive. My parents and them was supportive, but they didn't have the artistic flair that my grandmother did. So she is the beginning of it all. And as far as anything professionally, I always wanted to do it, but my actual first professional commission really didn't come until the early mid-'80s. I want to say 1985. A local comic book store, Danville Book World, in Danville, Illinois, commissioned me to do some artwork posters for a comic book sale that they had come up. So I did some posters for them. They really dug my art, and then later on said, "Hey, can you do some other things?" So I did some other stuff for them, and I got paid this green stuff for it, Ryan. And it was so very strange, and I didn't know what it was all about, but I loved it,
Wow, that is truly amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's a heck of a story, if I do say so myself. Now, what would you say are some of the rewards of being an artist?
Some of the biggest rewards, I don't know so much I guess being an artist has something to do with it, but I didn't really start posting anything I didn't get into Facebook until 2009. I didn't start posting anything on Facebook of any of my drawings until years later, but I became friends with a lot of comic book artists who a lot of them turned around and commented on the drawings that I posted. So Steve, the late great Steve Lytle, who we just recently lost, he saw this drawing that I did of Batman purely out of jest. I was in a McDonald's, and there was a grandmother with her little grandson who was giving her a little bit of problems because, he's this young kid who has a lot of energy and a short attention span. But I noticed he had a Batman t-shirt on, and I'm sitting in there eating and had no artist supplies with me. So, I take out a McDonald's napkin and my pen, and I'm doing a Batman drawing on a McDonald's napkin. And I went over there and I said, "Do you mind if I give this to him?" And and he looked at it and he said, "Where did you get this? Do they have them up there at the counter?" And his grandmother said, "No, he drew that for you," and so he liked it, and it got his attention, at least for a couple minutes or whatever. So I told my friend the story, and they said, "Well, do you have the napkin?" And I said, "Well, no, I gave it to the kid, and they said, "Well, draw another picture or whatever and put it on Facebook." So as a joke, I drew another picture, but on a McDonald's napkin, which you can see the embossed ends throughout the napkin and that. And I said, "Here you go," sarcastically. but I got a lot of good response from it. And one of them was from Steve Lytle. And he had said some things that later on he thought I misinterpreted it. And he sent me this big long thing in Facebook Messenger apologizing for it. And I'm like, what's to apologize for? I got it, and he says, no, he says, I thought you took it as criticism. And I said, from you, never, and he continued to apologize. And I continued to say, no apology necessary. And at this point, I realized these people that I grew up with their comics and, spending my hard-earned money on and all that were actually human. And a lot of them were compassionate. And one of them was compassionate towards me and towards my artwork. And from that point on, I gained other friends that on a daily basis like and comment on my daily sketches that I put on Facebook and then on my artwork page as well.
Wow, my goodness gracious. Well, that is just bat-tastic. It started with Batman and the rest is history on a napkin in a McDonald's restaurant. Who'd it thunk? But hey, I'm trying to think here, and I can't remember exactly what the words were, but talk about, that they have a slogan for that in McDonald's, but when it comes to you drawing a sketch or a picture of Batman, anyone could walk up and see that a magnificent piece of artwork and say, I'm loving it. So there you go. That's definitely, that's definitely, well, hey, I'm trying, but it's
yeah, really, okay. You're doing good though.
Yeah, but your artwork of Batman is certainly worth every penny, if I do say so myself. Now, on the flip side of things, what would you say are some of the challenges of being an artist?
Because there's always somebody better than me, and in my case, there's a lot of people better than me. I see people that just blow my mind away, And I'm not talking about people that do work for Marvel and DC and Image and all them. I'm talking about people that I'm friends with that have Kickstarter projects and stuff. And it really, well, we won't talk about imposter syndrome. I don't think it goes into that category in the sense, but it inspires me to keep at it and try to do better and, kind of go to the next level of my art, I mean, I don't ever want to get away from doing what I like doing, because if it becomes a complete pain or a complete bore, then I'll quit. Or I'll go back to doing what I like to do, and the characters that I like to draw, and whether it be superhero related or cartoon or comic strip related or just drawing nature scenes or what have you. I don't, anything and everything I've ever put on there is something that I like drawing, and that there's been some things that I've tried to do that were totally frustrating and totally not what I cared to do. And so therefore that's why you haven't seen it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that for sure. In a way. Now, do you have any special memories from being at conventions or other events where you're either selling your artwork or you're going as an attendee to those events?
Believe it or not, Ryan, this is going to shock your audience. I've never been to a convention as either a seller or a buyer. One of those things on my bucket list, I get thinking about Comic Cons. They were either too far away, I was either too broke, or my car was too broke, or I just simply had to work, you know. But I do want to go, and I kind of vicariously live through other people that go. And but one of these days, it's on my bucket list to get to a convention with my fellow Rising Tide friends, yourself included, and set something up to where I can show off my stuff. Now, I've done it at different fairs, things like that around here. We have over in Danville, they have a thing every year in June called Art in the Park. Oh. And it is artists displaying their wares at Lincoln Park in Danville, Illinois. And they, whether it's paintings, sculptures, you know, comic art, whatever, and they do have, they judge them and that. You can win ribbons and such and that. And I set up a couple times over there. I was not one of the lucky ones to get a first place ribbon, but just the fact that I got acknowledged with any ribbon, or more importantly, the people that came up to my booth and talked to me and said, you know, I like this, or this particular piece reminded me something of some personal memory that warmed their heart. And that to me was 10 times better than any blue ribbon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That is wonderful. I'm glad you're able to experience that, have people give you all that wonderful and positive feedback and all that sort of stuff. And man, my goodness gracious, never been to a convention. I do hope you're able to go out and catch some of these shows and go to some of these conventions, whether you're selling your artwork or you're going there just to experience it for itself and meet up, as you pointed out, the Rising Tide crew, or if I'm ever out in that neck of the woods, that would be fantastic. Do you have any specific characters or other things that you hope to draw in the future that you haven't drawn yet?
Oh, there always is. I mean, you know, you could tell me, what I post stuff. I'll post stuff specifically designed that might be holiday themed or something. If it's somebody's birthday, I'm friends with several known comic strip artists. John Rose, who draws Snuffy Smith 7 days a week. Also Ron Ferdinand, who draws Dennis the Menace on Sundays, which actually this little guy right here, Ron sent this to me. I'm sorry about the glare.
It's okay.
But for my birthday a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's great.
And happy birthday, Bill, and that. And anyway, and so I'm always like on their birthdays and that, I try to do the same thing for that, you know. So, yeah, I'm always open. Somebody says, hey, I like that character. Have you ever done this one or whatever and that? I'm like, well, you know, tune in, you know, that could be one of the next ones I do, because I'm always looking for recommendations.
Oh, definitely. That's great. And then whoever's watching this, if you have any ideas, if you want to have Bill commission something, we have his links in the description of this video, which we will talk about a little bit later on in this show. But for the time being here, Bill, my next question for you is this, and that is serious question though. Do you count your steps? Yeah,
I actually count them.
Oh, there they are.
My Samsung Galaxy Watch.
And there it is. All right, that's cool. That's cool.
I'm not sure where that question came from, but that's my my goofy answer for it.
That's okay. That's okay. I just have a few fun questions here that I like to ask each one of my guests who appear on the show. So that's where I'm kind of aiming this towards, just to point that out there, just to give you something to think about,
I go for a walk every day, and I have a goal of 6,000 steps. And because I'm handicapped and have to walk with a cane the majority of the time, that's kind of a goal for me. But it's actually helped me out a lot, physically and mentally too.
Oh, there you go.
So,
our hats.
Good question. See, these people would have never known it if this guy right here hadn't asked it.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to have a little bit of fun here on And I Quote. The next one I have for you: what's the most awkward thing that happens to you on a regular basis? And it could be anything in general.
Awkward, as in, give me your definition of awkward, because that might be a little different than mine.
Something that's a bit strange and unusual, maybe a bit out of the ordinary, like something awkward. Let's think here. Like, what's the most awkward thing that may happen? Maybe sometimes you may forget your keys, or maybe it's a form of I wouldn't say a form of behavior, but just something that's a bit off the beaten path that you believe is the most awkward thing that happens to you on a regular basis, whether it's forgetting something that you should have brought with you, or maybe someone lost track of time somewhere, that sort of thing.
Well, I don't know about a regular basis, but I know the most awkward thing that most happened to me recently is when we tried to tape this interview earlier today, and it just didn't happen because Bill had wonky Wi-Fi here, and thankfully it's working much better this evening. But no, as far as daily, it's hard to tell it now, but if you come and talk to me in person, I used to be very, very introverted growing up as a teenager and everything. And so when somebody comes and says something very nice about maybe my artwork or about something about me or whatever, and that, it's a little difficult for me to, I won't say difficult to accept the compliment, but I have a little bit of introvertedness that occasionally still comes out as far as responding to it. And usually, it used to be the more that I joked around, it was because I was rather nervous. So the more nervous I got, the more I joked, so, and not necessarily true now, but sometimes.
Oh, no. That's fine. It's completely understandable, acceptable, what have you. Now, what would you say, what's the funniest thing you've seen a kid do?
I see kids do funny things all the time. I mean, I just, for one, I'm in total amazement about the way they think and react to things. And I kind of, I hate to say it, I kind of like messing around with their minds, and kind of joke with them, but, in a way that I love getting different responses from them, but just things that they say, and I can't really narrow one thing down in particular off the top of my head right now, but kids' minds are totally free and abstract compared to old fogies like me who are in their 50s, and we just are so restricted from everything that happened to us in our lives, but these kids are just full of wonder and amazement and that. So anything that comes out of their mouth is a lot of times shocking, but most of the time just so enjoyable to me, because I mean, quite frankly, I'm a 7-year-old kid in a 58-year-old body anyway, and and I hope I always will be.
No problem. No problems here. No issues with that whatsoever. I gotcha. Now, if you had a personal mascot, what would it be?
This guy right here, maybe? I don't know. Can you see? Okay. I'm taking him down.
Oh, I see.
And that is signed by Bert Ward, and I received that a long time ago. I'm friends with Bert Ward on Facebook now, and his wife Tracy, and but I actually met him in 1972 or 73. We were up here on vacation for summer vacation, and they had a car show at a local car dealership that had some famous celebrity cars, such as like the Munsters coach. They had Sonny and Cher's matching 1965 Mustang convertibles, which I had no idea that they had, matching 1965 convertibles. But and the 1966 Batmobile was one of them. Got to sit in it, got to have my picture taken in it. And, me and my brother got glossy photographs, and the one of the main draw there, Bert Ward, was there in his Robin costume signing the autographs. And so this guy right here was signed by him to me. Of course, when I went up there and told him my name and that, I just gushed like a fanboy, and I was a boy back then. So anyway, he accepted it, all well and good, as I'm sure he heard it 50,000 times before. Then it's my 15-month younger brother, his turn to go up and have an autograph signed, and Bert asked my brother his name, and he said Val, and he said okay, and he signs it, and he's waiting to hear my brother kind of gush like a fanboy in the same way that I did, but he didn't, and my brother was strangely quiet. So Bert looks up at him and he says, "Well, do you have anything to say to me?" And he says, "Yeah." And he goes, "Your legs are hairy." And I about died right there, because he had the costume on, but he was considerable bit older, and I'm dragging my brother out of there, embarrassed to death, but it's a memory I'll never forget, but the age that he did, I always wanted to have, I actually had my grandmother, the same one who taught me how to draw, painstakingly made me a Robin costume for Halloween one year. So as much as I love Batman, I loved Robin the same way. And so, yeah, if I had a sidekick, it would be Robin. And whether it be Bert Ward or somebody else, Robin to me was always the perfect sidekick, and sometimes the perfect foil too.
Yeah, there's that too. Now, did you enjoy Bert Ward's cameo appearance during the crossover on CW's Arrowverse when they did Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Absolutely. That was a great Easter egg or cameo, whatever you want to call it. I totally got it, and the clothes that he was wearing, and that so reminiscent of the clothes from the 66 series and that. So yeah, totally loved it.
Yep. Yeah, that was a really good cameo. And also, we were talking about Batman '89 a little bit earlier on in this program. You know, Robert Wool, who played Alexander Knox, made a cameo in that same crossover when they were on Earth '89. So,
Yep.
I really dug
Yep.
that. I wish they would have given him more to do because I really liked his one line in there. I'm thinking, oh man, I wish we could have gotten some more of Alexander Knox because he was so good in that movie.
And Robert Wool is a Facebook friend of mine too. And after I saw that on there, I sent him a message, you know, about that, and he said he had really fun doing it.
Oh, that's
so as little as it was, but yeah, he's a great guy.
Man, I remember watching him not just in Batman '89, but also the TV series he did, Arliss.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that too. I was like, gosh, this guy goes from playing a reporter to a smart aleck, you know, sports agent or whatever it was back on HBO when the TV series was Arliss, and my goodness, that was something else. But granted, that was a different character, different tone, different setting, all that kind of jazz. So you got to, you know, actors that's what they're there for, to play different roles as well as different characters. So it all makes a heck of a lot more sense. Now, of all the characters that you have drawn, you've sketched, you've done commissions for people and things of that nature, I'm just curious, what character or characters would you want to see adapted into a series or movie that haven't been adapted yet? Or would you want to see a character be rebooted? And if so, which one?
Well, obviously they're already doing the reboot of Batman with the Robert Pattinson movie, if it ever ends getting finished being made. You know, curse you, COVID. And but yeah, they ran into a lot of snags. So I'm eagerly awaiting that. But as far as ones that haven't, well, I'll tell you what. One reboot I would love to have done, and I did like the Billy Zane version, but I am a total big fan of the Phantom, Lee Falk's Phantom, and I just, you know, and my friend Jeff Wego, who does the artwork on the Phantom, on the Sunday Phantom comic strips, they're going through a storyline right now where they're going through all the past Phantoms, connecting them all together into this one storyline. I would love to see a reboot of the Phantom that kind of visits at least a little bit some of the past ones from like the 1700s or whatever, that shows the different variations of the Phantom costume in that, and just kind of tie it all together. To me, I think that would make a great premise for a storyline for a new Phantom movie.
Well, that certainly sounds intriguing. As one of many who probably, I mean, I grew up in the '90s, so The Phantom was definitely one of the films that came at my desk, if you will. And I did watch it. And Billy Zane, I like the movie. I mean, looking back on it, I don't like it as much as some of the other films that I watched during the course of the '90s. You know, when you get older, your tastes differ, and you think about certain films in a different way, and that's fine. I still liked Billy Zane in the role, and also I had the pleasure of meeting him at a convention, and I told him, I said, hey, I grew up watching you on, you know, The Phantom was good. I liked you in this. I liked you in that. I actually had a DVD copy of a made-for-TV movie that he did for NBC. It was called Bet Your Life, and he was the antagonist. He was the bad guy running this situation out of Las Vegas in a casino. And he was so good in that. He's so good at being bad, playing an evil character. He's so good at it. And I told him that I really enjoyed him in that respective role. And he's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you have a copy of this movie, because I have not seen, this has not come across my booth at all in all the conventions I've been to. This is truly amazing. Did you want me to sign this? I said, yeah, absolutely. I would like you to sign it. Yeah. Like, you want me to personalize it, Randy? Yes, sir. Go ahead and personalize it. I just do it what you will. And he signed it. And he was like, can I take a picture of this for my Instagram? And I was like, yes, you can take a picture of it. And he put it on his Instagram, and I looked at his Instagram, and it was there. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a great fanboy moment right there. That is very nice guy. Once you start going to conventions, Bill, if he's at a convention, you are going to have a lot of fun meeting Billy Zane, because he is a cool dude. He just is.
I can just imagine that. My biggest fanboy moment, and I know you didn't ask me this question, but I'll just segue since you gave me yours.
It's okay. Sure, go ahead.
not early 1981. Little Richard, rock icon, Little Richard.
Oh my gosh.
He was going through his, I don't want to say religious phase. That sounds too cheap.
Spiritual phase, maybe?
Yeah, he was really kind of recommitting himself to God, and they were basically doing a big show once again in Danville at Danville Area Community College, even though back then it was called Danville Junior College, but Mary Miller Auditorium, and it was he did a lot of singing. He did a lot of preaching in this, and it was a wonderful, wonderful thing. Me and my friend I was out of high school for a year, but my friend who was a year younger than me was a senior in Danville High School, and he was on the maroon and white high school newspaper, and he brought these badges, and we got into this event for free where, they were generally asking for $25 donations and higher. But since we were the press, even though it was high school, we got in for free. Long story short, we went through, watched this whole thing. When the show was over, we walked up to the corner of the stage and asked one of his people that was helping him, hey, we're from Danville High School Maroon and White newspaper, and we would love to talk to Little Richard. Is there any possibility we could talk to him for a couple minutes? Thinking that they were going to say, get away, kid, you bother me, in the tone of W.C. Fields or something. The guy says, well, I don't know. Let me go ask him. And he goes, walks backstage. And he's gone for like 10 minutes. And we're like, that's it. We're getting ready to leave. And then he comes out, and there's Little Richard right behind him. And Little Richard comes out, and the three of us are sitting on the edge of the stage. And for the next half hour, Little Richard solely is giving an interview to us snot-nosed high school kids. I have a tape recorder that I'm holding this microphone out, and my hand is shaking the whole time, and my friend is supposed to be doing the interview and that. And of course, he's tongue-tied because that's freaking Little Richard. And so I jumped in there not knowing what to ask him. And I said, well, we really enjoyed this show, and we're, really moved by so much of what you said and that, and he kind of got a smile on his face, and I'm not thinking I have him hooked, but the only question that I could think of was just a couple months earlier was the assassination of John Lennon from the Beatles. And I knew in the early days that the Beatles and Little Richard and several others all traveled together. And I asked him how he felt about John Lennon's passing. And that just opened up the doors, and he started telling stories about the Beatles and how rough touring was. And it went on for a half an hour. Somewhere I still have a program from that show, and he signed it to me and said, read your Bible, of course, and that was, and nobody else was around us. Everybody was packing things up and all that, and it was just the three of us right there. And very, very, very personable man, and I never ever forgot that, never, and I never will.
My goodness gracious, that is certainly the definition of a treasured memory for sure, 100% through and through. My goodness gracious, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That is truly, truly incredible. My goodness gracious.
Pleasure.
Yeah, that is definitely one for the books, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Bill, what projects do you have coming up that you can tell us about? What do you got coming up?
Well, nothing super big, particular. I'm still building on my artwork page, which is the artwork of Bill Sartain. There, down here on the microphone boom. I got this thing freaking everywhere and that, but as they say, promote, and when you're done doing that, promote some more. But no, I'm trying to build my page, and if anybody knows about the artwork of Bill Sartain page, it's from better days from yesteryear. It's everything. All my sketches reflect that. I post stuff on there revolving just whether it be music, TV shows, movies, what have you, and it will generally coincide to an anniversary. Like last night, I did a kind of a mini marathon of music by Roger McGuinn and the Byrds because it was Roger McGuinn's birthday. And so we do things like that occasionally and that. So I'm continuously doing that. Also at the same time, I'm still doing commissions for people, such as I did for you and Dave Adams, which I'm ever so thankful for having you commission me to do artwork for you. And I've done for Cindy Kep, who is a wonderful Rising Tide author and a wonderful Rising Tide person, and other people. And that's kind of a daily thing. Sometimes I get a little bit backed up doing that, so getting to do a whole lot else is a little difficult sometimes. That's why a lot recently, instead of doing a brand new drawing every single day like I did for the last few years, I'm actually going back and showing some of my other artwork. Like today, I showed a picture that I did of Firestorm, the DC character. And I did this picture back in 1985, so it shows all my mistakes, and it shows a lot of things which, at one point I thought, I don't want to post this. Just don't, I look at it now and I'm my own worst critic. And, whether it be something I do today or something that I did 30, 40 years ago, but I went ahead and I posted it anyway, because I do want you to see, what I did back then, and, just so that somebody can know me a little bit better. But the commission work is kind of keeping my hands tied a little bit, but I'm usually, I don't turn down anything. Even if I'm working on something, I will tell a person, say, okay, I can start on that on Monday or whatever, and then like you and Dave, keep you in the loop as things progress and get your feedback on it. And if the person wants me to do something a little bit different, that isn't too totally drastic, and that, I'm very receptive to it, because I want it to be what they want and what they envision,
Oh yeah, 100%, absolutely. We appreciate what you did for us. Dave Adams and I do a bi-weekly show called Geek at Birth, which you can find on HWWS Web TV. Definitely check that out. Bill designed what our logo looks like, what the theme of it looks like, and it looks fantastic. We are forever thankful for you for doing that, Bill. We really appreciate it. But just one more time, Bill, where can everyone find you on social media?
Go to the artwork of Bill Sartain. It's my artwork Facebook page. And that's just fb.me/SartainArt76. And that's spelled Sartain, 76, and you'll tap into it, and you'll find everything there. You'll find a lot of stuff that really what I get from most people is, wow, I haven't thought of that for a long time, and that's what I want to continue to do. I want to, we've had so much stuff go on in the last year, and we really, as a nation have so much just was halted, and that because of a horrible disease. And, I did some things during the height of the pandemic last year, posting all my daily sketches that I did. I did black and white versions of them that I put them on without my watermark and that in them, that people could turn around and print off and use them as coloring pages for their kids or grandkids to help them through, because these kids were stuck at home. Mm-hmm. I mean, you or I did not go through anything like that, to that degree. And I felt so sorry for the kids and that, and of course, something to keep them occupied, to give the parents and grandparents a break. So, I did that for a while, but the whole thing with the artwork page, whether it be the sketches or anything else that gets posted there, is that I want it to be something that's going to make somebody smile, bring back a fond memory, and maybe make them think about a family memory through something that is posted on there, because we got enough of the bad memories and that, and things that are just a stone cold drag, I want something to be lighthearted and happy and goofy and crazy and just something upbeat, Yeah,
definitely. And we thank you very much for doing so. Thank you for being on our show this week, Bill Sartain. My name is Ryan of Neuroculture. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram you can follow us on all forms of social media, at It's Neuroculture. Check out our YouTube channel where new videos are being posted each and every week. And I Quote is every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Also, check out my podcast. It's called The Nerdcast, where I review the movies I've had a chance to see. New episodes drop every week on Anchor, Google, Spotify, wherever you download your podcasts. You can find it there. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. On behalf of myself, Bill, everyone here at Neuroculture, thank you for joining us for this week's episode of And I Quote. And one more thing to you, be strong, be healthy, be safe, and support independent creators, content creators of all shapes and sizes. Oh, and one more thing, treat every day as if it were Saturday. Take care, everyone.
Welcome, Glasscock Park, to this glorious day.
Today is your lucky day. We got some great stuff. This is Glasscock Park.
Marvelous.
Thank you.
Come on, let's go. I don't have all day, people.
Now, it's time.
Tell your friends, huh?
I'm gwpomichter.
I'm Dina Marie.
I'm Sage Ia.
I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
Hey, I'm David Thompson.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mia.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Hey there, this is Dave Adams.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Rose.
Jerome Conner here.
Hey guys, it's Josh Bauer.
It's Willow Schuyler.
I'm Cosplay Michael.
Abba. It's your boy Country.
I'm Ryan Permison.
And I'd like to ask you guys,
please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please
subscribe.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe to HWWS
Web TV.
Great bunch of people.
And don't forget to smash the bell.
Ring that bell.
Smash that bell.
Hit that bell.
Hit the bell to be notified.
Hit the bell to get notified of new shows
and videos.
You're going to want to do that, so do that soon.
so we can cross that 20,000 mark.
And get us to 100,000 subscribers.
To 1 million, and 10 million, and 100 million.
On HWWS.
Web TV.
You'll really like it. I guarantee it.
Thank you.